Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anita Patrick. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on Star Times channel 276. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to constitutional reforms that will strengthen Nigeria's democracy, promote justice, and guarantee the rights of citizens. He was speaking at the National Public Hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution held in Abuja. Our National Assembly correspondent tells us more. President Tinubu, represented by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, described the exercise as a golden opportunity to advance governance and nation building. The President commended the House of Representatives Committee on Constitution Review for engaging citizens, political parties, civil society, and traditional institutions in the amendment process.
The ongoing process of each amendment provides us with yet another golden opportunity to strengthen our institutions, deepen federalism, guarantee fundamental rights, and promote justice, equity, and accountability across all spheres of national life.
Also addressing the hearing, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, said the review marks a defining moment in Nigeria's democratic journey, pledging that lawmakers will not delay passage of the proposed amendments.
The reserved seats for women proposal will create additional seats in the National Assembly and state assemblies to ensure that every state and senatorial district has women's voice in lawmaking. This is not tokenism, but a constitutional mechanism to accelerate gender inclusion.
Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, who chairs the review committee, disclosed that 87 amendment bills are on the table, ranging from electoral reforms and state policing to local government autonomy and gender inclusion. If ratified by at least 24 state assemblies, the reforms would represent the most sweeping constitutional overhaul since 1999.
Today, let us honor that noble tradition. Let us rise above the narrow confines of ethnicity, narrow confines of religion, narrow confines of region and language, and embrace our shared destiny as Nigerians. Let us together craft a constitution that will be a legacy of unity, a constitution that will be a legacy of justice, a constitution that will be a legacy of progress for generations yet unborn.
Also, traditional rulers who renewed their agitations for a constitutional role clarified that the motive is not to hijack the functions of elected leaders, but to serve as a bridge between the government and the governed. Representatives of women groups also reiterated their demand for increased representation in the parliament and executive councils across the tiers.
The level of governance and the people who are governed, no link. Policies are being prepared, programs are being prepared, but implementation of these programs and policies cannot go down because no link. So we are now urging the authorities, especially this committee, to ensure that this gap is being bridged.
The National Assembly says final harmonized version of the amendments will be published before voting begins, with leaders urging citizens to stay engaged in shaping Nigeria's democratic future. Anita Patrick, reporting for Global TV. After months of political tension in Rivers State, Governor Siminalayi Fubara says he has finally reconciled with his predecessor, Nyesom Wike. The peace moves follows a private meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa. Ramsey Enoch has the details.
Governor Fubara, who resumed duty this week after his 6-month suspension was lifted, told State House correspondents that the discussion with the president were like that of a father and a son. He said he briefed President Tinubu on developments in Rivers and received advice to avert future crises. The reconciliation comes just days after President Tinubu ended the state of emergency in Rivers and restored democratic structure.
It's not much, it's father-son discussion, telling him thank you and the areas where, if at all, there should be any issue, for him to guide me properly so we don't be in any situation that will bring crisis again. That's what he said to me.
Nigerians want to know.
He advised me on what to do and how to go in the right place. So long as I'm concerned, we have made peace. My footballer and his principal are working together.
For now, Rivers State appears to be moving past months of a political uncertainty, with hopes for lasting stability. Meanwhile, the president also held separate consultations with other key officials, including the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum and the Minister of Finance. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global TV News.
Away from that, the Deputy Director of Sergeants at Arms at the National Assembly, Alabi Adedeji, has unsealed the office of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The office was sealed on the 6th of March 2025 after being suspended by the Senate for 6 months. After the flag-off of the Mabuchi Road, the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Nyesom Wike, inspected ongoing projects in Abuja, which include the construction of the Court of Appeal, Abuja Division, and 40 judges' quarters. Kabir Hassan was there for Global Television.
The inspection visit is part of the efforts by the FCTA to ensure quality and timely delivery of key projects in the FCT. The minister noted that the Court of Appeal building and judges' quarters, when completed, will strengthen the judicial system by providing a more conducive environment for justice delivery in the nation's capital, while expressing their satisfaction with the speed of the project.
Court of Appeal that in the next legal year, we pray that occasion will be taking place in their new division. Having got there today, I'm afraid, I'm really not too satisfied that the contractor will meet up. If you ask me, am I happy? Certainly not. But not being happy will not solve the problem.
On the side of the housing project, the minister expressed satisfaction while stating the project, as promised, will be completed by January 2026.
We're here where you have 20 units of these 5-bedroom duplexes for the FCT High Court. We have the one of the Court of Appeal, 10 units, and here we are standing is for the Federal High Court. We are impressed with the speed of work. The duration is for them to hand over by January 2026, complete furnishing. I believe with where they are going, they may be able to hand over before that January.
With projects like this, the FCTA says it is not just improving infrastructure, but also laying the foundation of a stronger judicial system in the federal capital. Kabir Hassan reporting for Global TV News. To security matters, Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun says Nigerian security challenges require police leaders who can think faster, act smarter, and adapt quicker. He said this while declaring open a one-day executive workshop for top commanders of the force in Abuja. Security correspondent Kikolema Okeri completes the story.
Criminal groups from terrorist networks are becoming more sophisticated, often using technology and cross-border alliance to expand their reach. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, urged commanders to adopt leadership that combines speed with strategy and patience with imagination. The police chief stressed that modern security threats are unpredictable and constantly evolving, requiring foresight, innovation, and stronger collaboration.
That is why this team has been carefully chosen to prepare you as leaders to anticipate, to adapt, and to act decisively in an environment where hesitation is costly and speed is survival.
The Inspector General of Police insisted that the workshop must not end as theory, but result in reform that build a more agile, intelligence-driven police force Nigerians can trust.
That is why this team has been carefully chosen to prepare you as leaders to anticipate, to adapt, and to act decisively in an environment where hesitation is costly and speed is survival.
The president of the Society for Peace, Study and Practice pledged support for police reform and called the initiative a major step towards repositioning the force as catalyst for peace and justice.
And today, we are privileged to engage with the top echelon of the Nigerian Police Force. Furthermore, during this period, approximately 100 officers have joined SPSP. And the highest and the level of leadership of the Nigerian police that are engaged civil society and those that are expertise and intervention experiences to help you do your job.
The event drew senior police officers, security experts, and peace practitioners, marking what stakeholders describe as a critical moment for leadership transformation in Nigerian police force. Kike Lomo Ukeri, Global Television News.
Still staying with the security stories, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has warned senior officers of the force against misuse of authority, particularly in land disputes. The police chief made the call at a strategic meeting with Commissioner of Police and Zonal Commander of the force in Abuja. He noted that the force will not serve private interests and warned that officers who cross the line will face strict sanctions. Kikela Mokeri again tells us more.
Land disputes remain one of the most common sources of communal tension across the country, often leading to clashes, destruction of properties, and even loss of lives. Against this backdrop, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, cautioned senior officers to stay clear of personal involvement in land disputes. The police chief emphasized that officers must remain impartial, uphold the rule of law, and avoid actions that could compromise public trust in the force. He warns that any officers found meddling in private land matters for personal gain will face disciplinary action.
One area that continues to cast a shadow over our institution is the misuse of police authority in civil disputes, particularly in matters relating to land. Let me reiterate without ambiguity. The Nigerian Police Force is not and will never become an enforcer for private interests. Officers have no business escorting parties for land recovery, disrupting legally existing occupations, or meddling in civil claims without a demonstrable criminal element. The line must be clear, and any officer who crosses it will face disciplinary consequences.
The police chief further directed commissioners and zonal commanders to intensify security operations in the last quarter of the year, a period often marked by spikes in robbery, kidnapping, and banditry. He emphasized that leadership by example remains key, insisting that what commanders tolerate will shape the culture of the force.
As we approach the final quarter of the year, there is no room for complacency. The so-called Ember months have historically seen spikes in robbery, kidnapping, ritual killings, and highway banditry. I am mandating the following. Zonal AIGs must activate multi-layered feasibility policing frameworks.
Reviewing the police operations since July, the police chief reveals that the force arrested more than 4,300 suspects across the country, including kidnappers, armed robbers, cultists, and illegal arms carriers. Over 1,100 kidnapped victims were rescued, while more than 700 firearms and 21,000 rounds of ammunition were recovered. Kike Lomo Ukeri, Global Television News.
The Executive Secretary of the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, Dr. Abubakar Daban, has begun oversight visits to institutions under the council. During his visit to the National Institute for Oceanography and Marine Research in Lagos, Dr. Daban praised staff performance and assured them of President Tinubu's support in addressing welfare and funding challenges. He gave similar assurances at the Federal College of Fisheries and Marine Technology, where he commended the school's progress in expanding academic programs and facilities. Dr. Daban said the council remains committed to strengthening research, staff development, and institutional growth in the agricultural sector. You're watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. When News Cycle returns, Rivers Hoppers coach targets Nigeria Basketball Premier League playoffs berths. Details coming shortly, plus business and foreign stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from the break. In business, the Monetary Policy Committee of the First Central Bank of Nigeria has reduced the country's interest rate to 27% for the first time in 2025. Governor of the Central Bank, Olayemi Cardoso, disclosed this during a press briefing after the 302nd Policy Committee meeting in Abuja. Cardoso noted that the reduction was due to consistent disinflation recorded in the country after 3 consecutive pauses in rates. The House of Representatives is turning its searchlight on payments to contractors worth trillions of naira. Lawmakers say they want full transparency over the disbursements of funds already approved by the federal government. National Assembly correspondent has the rest of the story. The Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, who chairs the House Ad Hoc Committee on Budget Implementation, disclosed that the Accountant General confirmed government's approval of over 2.4 trillion naira for contractors. He added that the Minister of Finance had also signed off on an additional 760 billion naira, raising the total package to about 3.1 trillion naira.
One of the things they took home also was my charge to them, asking them to please. On the part of government, we are putting the pressure on government to pay up. But on their part, they should ensure that what government is paying for is a job well done.
The House, however, is demanding the spreadsheets of beneficiaries to ensure payments went to contractors who actually delivered projects, not just paper certificates.
The government is not paying for a piece of paper of certificate of completion when the jobs are not done. We told them it would be wickedness to claim that the hospital had been built.
Contractors had staged protests earlier this month over delayed fees, forcing the House to broker a truce. So far, about 25% of payments have reportedly been made, while other commitments are being processed. The committee has fixed another appraisal session for 5th October to further track compliance from both governments and contractors. Aniete Patrick, reporting for Global TV. And on the foreign scene, Uganda's long-running president, Yoweri Museveni, has been officially designated as the incumbent candidate for the country's 2026 elections. Following his confirmation by the Electoral Commission, President Museveni vowed to continue empowering the middle class, investors local and foreign, stating that the lower class will also be carried along. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent, Uyi Agumofebe, reports.
The 80-year-old had been widely expected to try and extend his almost 4-decade rule over the East African country. The opposition has faced a mounting crackdown ahead of the general election in January, with leading activists and politicians intimidated, abducted, and detained. However, his nomination is now official.
I, Justice Byabakama Mugenzi Simon, being the returning officer for the nomination of presidential candidates, declare Museveni Yoweri Kaguta a duly nominated candidate in respect of the presidential elections 2026.
Museveni assured Ugandan people of reforms in what seemed like a mini manifesto, affirming to continue on same policy path his government has been on in about 40 years.
So this is the double mission in the coming Kisanja. Continue empowering the middle class, the investors, whether local or from outside, but make sure that the masses are all involved.
Once hailed for his commitment to good governance, the former rebel leader has crushed any opposition and tweaked the constitution to allow himself multiple times. Uyi Agmofwegbe reporting for Global TV News.
And in sports, the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria has inaugurated a local organizing committee ahead of its Diamond Jubilee anniversary. The inauguration took place at the association's National Secretariat in Abuja. SWAN President Isaiah Benjamin charged members of the committee to deliver on their mandate with unity and commitment, assuring them of the Secretariat's full support. In his remarks, the local organizing committee chairman Ben Ogbemudia and veteran broadcaster Anita Patrick, as secretary, pledged to work with his team to ensure a memorable 60th anniversary celebration. And days to the commencement of the second phase of the 2025 Nigerian Basketball Premier League season, Rivers Hoppers head coach Ogbodu Ododu has set his sights on reaching the playoffs. During the group phase of the 2025 Nigerian Basketball Premier League season, Rivers Hoppers were limited to a less than ideal 2 games as Delta Force and Ololuoye Warriors elected against participating in the league, leaving the Kingsmen and Kwara Falcons as the only teams in the Atlantic Conference Group B. And that's it on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Anita Patrick. Thank you for being a part of the bulletin.